All right, plot goblins.
Hey, everybody.
Boy, oh boy, has it been a minute. Wesley and I are thrilled to sit down here today, to dance, to shake it.
Back behind the microphone, baby, and I love it.
To get back behind the mic, and we're going to have to probably iron out some kinks in the process and whatnot. But all in all, I mean, I think we're going to have a jam-packed episode, the goal of which is to talk about Golden Sun.
Yeah, baby.
Golden Sun by our boy Pierce here.
Let's go.
And so we're going to talk about that. And maybe before we dive into a plot synopsis of Golden Sun, and I'm thinking we can go just key plot and just see if it invokes any sort of memory for you or gut reaction. We can do that. And then, but maybe to get started, do you want to just kind of go through some of the books you've been reading side quests?
Oh, man. So since this, I read The Magician, books 1 and 2 by Raymond Feist. Came out in the 80s.
Old school.
80s. Unbelievable. Held up so well. Fantasy and sci-fi together. You've got magic. You've got just backwoods battling on horses and swords. You've got crazy sci-fi that I could have never imagined in the 80s, considering they didn't have the internet and all they had were books to read. And I've never seen any of this ever.
So it came
from
this mind.
And then what else did I read? I just finished reading Black Tongue Thief by Christopher Buehlum. Sorry, dog, I don't know your name. And I don't choose to want to know it because I didn't like the book.
I saw it in B&N.
Yeah, it was fine. But after listening to the audiobook, it's narrated in like an Irish accent. And so...
Oh, the Irish?
Yeah.
Can you try to do an Irish accent for me?
I don't think I can, but...
Just try it.
Just try it. I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. But, after I heard the audiobook, I started reading in an Irish accent, made it a little bit more enjoyable.
Did it really?
But it definitely got better after I had like 6 or 7 beers because I was reading every third word. But other than that, 3.9 at its best.
How do you remember the book when you're doing that?
Just because I'm in it. I'm really in it. I was on the boat by myself, listening to some tunes, and just.
You're the type that feels compelled to finish a book.
Though, that one I was just grunting at the plot line as it unfolded, and I'm like, this is the worst. This is a bad ending, and I'm mad. So won't read that again.
Well, I'm disappointed for you, and I'm probably not going to pick it up, even though the cover art looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
cover
that's
art looked
about
cool.
the best part of it.
Okay, those are 2 very good books. Mm-hmm. What did I read? Oh, I did some audiobooks. The only time I'd ever listened to an audiobook was Dune, but I read along while I listened. And then when I was out in the foothills in Virginia, I listened to a couple of audiobooks, and I really liked it while I was hiking.
Yeah, that's nice.
It was really nice.
I have a hard time with audiobooks, like when I'm driving, because I just start drifting off, and I'm like, oh, God, that seemed like it was important.
Yeah, if there's something I realized, you have 70% retention at best, because it's so easy to get distracted when you're listening. When you're reading, and hell, I get distracted when I'm reading, and I'll read paragraphs and then realize I'm thinking about something else and have to start over. And that's unless I'm really locked in, that happens quite a bit, especially if I'm getting sleepy.
Especially reading fantasy, like the names, there's something about it for me, like I have to read the name physically to remember what's going on. If I just hear the name in an audiobook, I'm like, have I heard that person's name before? Like, who is that?
Yeah.
So I need that trigger. Retention. Yeah, I need the trigger to like recall things when I'm physically reading the word.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think a hack, though, if a book is particularly difficult, is to listen to the audio and read. I really think
especially
that helped me.
Dune.
Helped me with Dune. It helped me with other things like, and I don't know this, but I feel like some of the sci-fi can get a little bit challenging. I was going to read Project Hail Mary and then Hyperion. Those are just like, from what I read online, like those are pretty big.
I would maybe do that with like Three Body Problem, because I started reading Three Body Problem and I just couldn't get into it.
I've got that book.
Or Leviathan Wakes. I would maybe
try it again.
But
it's good for pronunciation of weird names or weird tech. But the audiobooks that I listened to was Elantris. So I went on a Sanderson binge. I did Elantris, Tress of the Emerald Sea, and then Yumi the Nightmare Painter.
Oh, yeah.
And Yumi's like one of his newest ones, I think. I wasn't a huge fan of that one, and Elantris was okay, but Tress I really liked.
Nice.
And it was very YA.
Nice.
Very.
Well, I'm fine with that.
But it was still really good. And the thing that I liked about it is I felt like there's a character in it. His name is Hoyd.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this.
I think Hoyd has significance in the grander
Cosmere.
However, in this book, he kind of just comes, like, some chapters are from his perspective. And so it's just kind of interesting because I've noticed that Sanderson is kind of using Hoyd to kind of give father type advice, where he's just reflecting back on his, probably raising his kid and just things he's learned, just things like he's espousing these big philosophical things and leaving these nuggets, man. Do you mind if I read you a quote?
No, sure.
I thought this quote was so good.
Yeah.
I even shared it on Instagram.
I want to hear it. Yeah, I want to hear it.
And Wes, how often do I share a quote on Instagram?
My boy doesn't share anything on Instagram.
Seldom. I'll share music. But listen to this quote. This is chapter 54, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. He says, "We want to imagine that people are consistent, steady, stable. We define who they are, create descriptions to lock them on a page, divide them up by their likes, talents, beliefs. Then we pretend some, perhaps most, are better than we are because they stick to their definitions. Well, we never quite fit ours. Truth is, people are as fluid as time is. We adapt to our situation like water in a strangely shaped jug, though it might take us a little while to ooze into all the little nooks. Because we adapt, we sometimes don't recognize how twisted, uncomfortable, or downright wrong the container is that we've been told to inhabit. We can keep going on that way for a while. We can pretend we fit that jug, awkward nooks and all, but the longer we do, the worse it gets. The more it wears on us, the more exhausted we become. Even if we're doing nothing at all, because simply holding the shape can take all the effort in the world, more if we want to make it look natural."
God, and you just can't get that by anybody other than Sanderson. I mean, he's so good.
How great was that?
I mean, just talking about just keeping on where you don't want to be, and just until you realize it, you're in the wrong crevice.
I thought that was so smart because he's like, even if we're doing nothing at all, because simply, or he said, the longer we do, the worse it gets, the more it wears on us, the more exhausted we become, even if we're doing nothing at all, because simply holding the shape can take all the effort in the world, more if we want to make it look natural. I think that's fantastic advice. That's the advice I would want to impart to somebody who is younger, trying to find themselves. I would give that advice to anybody struggling.
I give that to
anybody. But I thought the container piece was really smart because you could choose a different shape. But often we do judge people by how well they fit their container and how well they have adapted to it and seem to look natural within it.
For sure.
And then we're constantly questioning, well, why can't I do that? I think everybody is struggling to find the shape.
Well, and everybody knows that Diet Coke out of a can is the best. Diet Coke out of a bottle, not nearly as good.
So you would prefer the shape of a can?
And Diet Coke out of poured into a glass does not hit nearly as good as it does in a can. So I would agree that Diet Coke is not rising to the occasion in any vessel other than in a can. And it's just meant to be in a can. And so, you know what? That's just when it's the best.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought it out of the metaphysical and the metaphorical into something that pushes Coke, because we would like them to sponsor.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why.
I'm looking at you, Coke.
Do you even drink Coke?
You know what? I like the little 5.6 ounce cans of Diet Coke for when I'm making lunch. I just want something to wet my whistle.
Really?
So I like just a little nibble.
Okay. That's interesting.
Coke nibble.
You were the one that told me one time you would want a shooter of Coke at a gas station.
Yeah. A shooter of Sprite at a gas station. Or a shooter of Sprite. Yeah. Just
because you want
a 5-hour energy size of Sprite.
The smallest amount. I always thought
I just want to get slapped by that lemon lime.
Just let that tang.
I just want to feel them bubbles. I want to be lemon and lime, like yin and yang.
Oh, I just accidentally logged out of Copilot.
Oh, man. God, you're giving away all of our secrets here. So, again.
Oh, I had another book I want to tell you about. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and don't forget you also read Liza Locke Lamora, but we might have to. We should probably save that for a dedicated episode. Yeah. It's been probably close to 2 months since we finished Golden Sun. So, Trevi and I have had to consult the internet on some of the synopsis of the book.
AI is going to help us. We don't look. I'm not going to verbatim, listen to AI here, but I think it'd be nice if it generated.
Nice to have a bulleted summary.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, puppy.
With key plot twists.
We missed you all. I'm certainly happy to be back behind the microphone. It's been far too long.
Yeah, it has been. You know what? And I miss you. Can I say that? Can I say that?
I miss you, Bubby.
Okay. I love you, Bubba.
Oh, Bubba.
So, okay, here it is. Plot summary. So here's what I'm thinking. Yeah, we'll save all the mumbo jumbo for the next one. This is all about the hardcore truth around Golden Sun by Pierce. So, this time it gave me...
But you were going to bring up the Dresden Files.
Oh, I really was, but I'm not going to do that now.
That's all right. We'll save that for later. Because I want to read that. So that could be a dedicated.
So
that could be a dedicated episode.
Because
I can rip through that quickly.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to.
You would love it.
I know I'm going
350 to 400 pages.
I love a little speed read.
Sherlock Holmes meets mystery, meets magic.
I can't wait.
Just a freaking hard-nosed detective wizard in the dirty streets of Chicago.
He's lurking, like my boy Ibo.
Well, he's just insufferable, and he's alone, and he's older, and he just is mad.
Yeah,
and
I love
he's got a lot of angst, and he's got a lot of insecurities, and he takes it out on the dark underworld and it's just but he gets his
like
shit
grumpy Batman that can't fight.
Yes, but what's great about it, dude, is when the author puts him in a situation where he gets the shit kicked beyond recover, almost
right.
to the point where you're like, where do you go from here? It's embarrassing how much he loses, and at the last second he wins, but in a way that you kind of could expect if you just wanted to like think a little bit about it.
Kind of like Final Destination type stuff?
No, nothing like that, but he just finds his way out of whatever crazy situation that he's in, but man, after so
like
much
MacGyver.
torture.
Like I'm more MacGyver.
Yeah, but if MacGyver just had simple hacks.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is, but it's like you get to the end of it and you just want to read the next one.
Yeah.
It's pure brain
I'll
candy.
definitely read that.
Cool. Well, let's dive into some of this here. It's been over 2 years since he graduated from the Institute and took a position as Lancer for House Augustus. The Reaper of House Mars now trains in the Academy, a prestigious school, not unlike the Institute that focuses on space-based warfare, planetary tactics. He commands a fleet. Mm-hmm. 2 of his friends, Roke and Tactus. The rest of his old retinue has been scattered across the solar system.
Tactus, that bastard.
Yeah. Notably, Sevro, the Howlers, they've been sent far into orbit. Mm-hmm. Mustang kind of has taken up some politics on Luna.
Yeah, and Augustus's daughter. Right?
It's Augustus's daughter, correct. And Darrow has welcomed into his circle Victra, the half-sister of that raging biatch, Antonia.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scroll down a little bit because the thing that I really liked is when, at the beginning, Darrow gets jumped by those Bellonas.
Yeah.
And he gets
it rocked.
He gets beat.
And they film it.
Yes.
Right? And don't they pee on him? They peed on him because the other guy got peed on, right?
Well, Cassius did.
Cassius gets peed on, and don't they pee on him?
And then they peed on him.
Fight?
Yeah, so that was like...
the golden shower, golden sun, golden shower.
They were really just trying to humiliate, just a true public humiliation.
Not good.
Also, interesting character that they brought into this book is Pliny, that little weasel. It says here, to add insult to injury, Darrow is then informed by Nero and his chief Politico, Pliny, that due to the embarrassment of losing to Bellona, they'll be removing him from his position as Lancer. So after that whole situation, they kind of removed him. Mm-hmm. And he was the Politico for Augustus, but that had ulterior motives, and he just was a slimy little
kind of like
slug.
the Politico, or what was the in Dune?
Oh yeah, just like that guy.
Just like Dune.
Exactly like him.
Yeah.
I forget that little worm.
It was the Harkonnens.
Yes,
What a slimy dude.
Kind of a Politico.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, let's see. Let's scroll down here.
Darrow.
The Gala.
Guy.
Do you remember the Gala scene?
Yeah, Gala. What a great scene.
That might be my favorite scene in the whole book, actually.
For
sure. So before the Gala, this is important. Darrow visits Roke in his room to apologize for his behavior and then tranks him.
Yeah, because he's going to blow the whole place up.
He was going to. He was going to act on behalf of Harmony, who he thought was taking over for Ares, basically, or that had been given direction from Ares to go and blow up the Gala. And we later find out that she was rogue.
Yeah,
and that she was not supposed to be doing that, and had kind of gotten a taste for blood and, was fed up.
Yeah.
Maybe justifiably so. Was fed up and felt that, killing was the only...
When you're held as a concubine for for a while.
Harmony was? Oh, yeah.
She was held as like a concubine with the wings with, the surgeon guy.
Yes.
As you can tell, it's been a while.
That's okay. This is helping a lot, though, I think. So, the Gala was really interesting. He tranks Roke, which ends up being a terrible misstep. And we don't need to jump.
If he was going to blow the place up, maybe not, because he would have saved his friend. Since he had a change of heart.
And that made Roke question him, because before that, Roke was this undying loyalty and
totally
fealty to Darrow, and then... He's an interesting character, isn't he? He is this poet kind of warrior guy who he doesn't get a whole ton of face time after the falling out of the tranking.
Yeah.
He gets some, but Darrow and Mustang kept saying, you need to feed into the friendship. You need to feed into the friendship. And so he had no friendship capital.
He felt betrayed, and I'm
rightfully so.
Sure,
he did a bad job justifying why he did that.
I'm sure it will come around that they make amends in the future, because Roke's, actions, as we come to find, were slightly misguided.
Yeah.
In the end, I mean, maybe not. Maybe Roke's just a diehard gold, and he will just never see, come around. But I have a feeling that they'll make amends there.
He did something unforgivable.
He's
the one that was holding the box that had Fitchner's head in it.
Oh yeah, Fitchner's head. Yeah.
So
Ares.
Ares. That's unforgivable.
Yeah.
Now. And also, how, maybe when we go through the summary, we can it'll clarify things, but I don't actually know who let the cat out of the bag with that one. I know that what happened was at the very, very end, Darrow was in a situation where he was going to die, and the Luna or whatever said that...
Oh, no, it comes out because when Darrow is going to capture or kill the queen of the galaxy, he jumps on that ship and he's about to die, and Fitchner kills everybody on the ship.
Because
I think it was on video, and I think it was on video or something. And so that's how they found out that Fitchner...
And it gets leaked, and... also... Yeah, we don't have to jump too far ahead, but I know the Jackal somehow knew what was going on, because it seemed like he got double-crossed at the end. He is a Jackal. He's a little... but I like him. I kind of like him as a character, though.
Me too.
And I like that he got his arm cut off by Darrow in the first one and then kept it. He could easily get a new arm.
Right.
What a little rat.
Yeah.
I did,
Jackal.
But to bring us back to that Gala, when Darrow marches on the table, and could you even imagine having that much confidence and gusto?
Oh, yeah. Well, and he's like 8 feet tall. He's, 4 feet wide, and just what a guy.
He just is kicking over the dinner plates and just like looks Cassius right in the face and I think he spits on him.
No, what he does is he just like nudges the guy's glass over like a cat, and it just falls in his lap.
Yeah, he did do that. And then I really liked, and then I mean, so obviously Darrow does have this sort of, he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he doesn't always make the most rational decisions. I mean, in that moment, he did sort of elect to play with this food, so to speak, where he's kind of faking, just for the dramatization of it all, he's faking that he's going to be sorted down by Cassius and outclassed, but had actually been working with the Rage Knight. Lorne behind the scenes for like a whole summer, for a whole year, and had become one of the greatest fighters
Very
because
infamous.
of that.
Lauren is very infamous.
Well, he's an Olympic knight, and so he is infamous, and he's one of the best killers in their entire book system. But yeah, I thought that was really cool that he at the very last second he was pretending to be out of breath and then snaps out of it, and then that. I don't think he doesn't actually kill him, but I mean he got pretty close before Mustang stepped in, and Mustang, she's what do you think about her?
She's Augustus's daughter, and she
reminds me of someone
angsty.
who would join the Peace Corps or something.
She's just
and
an angsty kind of hippie a little bit, and then falls in love with a bad boy, and she's torn, and then is like, oh, what do I do? I just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think that I'm just upset with her towards the end when Darrow, he doesn't want to lie to her anymore, which was an interesting decision for him to make. And I'm also...
Oh, when he goes home.
He goes home to see his mom and to bring her back. She brings Mustang back to where he
shows all
lived,
his cards.
And he shows her the footage of him getting butchered by Nikki to show how it happened. And then it was kind of weak the way that he decided to go about it, and he admitted as much in the book. But he's like, well, come in after you've had a chance to watch this, and I don't want to see your reaction. I don't want to know how pissed off you are. But once you work it out, then come in and just be nice to me. And then she didn't, and then held him at gunpoint for a while.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was a really good scene, and I liked Ragnar a lot. Ragnar was the Obsidian.
Oh yeah.
He is cool, man. And
when they're trying to flee after the Gala, they're fleeing, and then they're trying, and then Darrow and what's the howler's name? That's Fitchner's son.
Sevro.
Darrow and Sevro shoot themselves out of this spaceship into another one. They fly through the front of it. They kill everybody, and then Darrow has a hot line. He gets over the intercom and he goes, "Look. This is my ship. If you want to fight me, that's fine. But I promise you that you're going to like me a whole lot more than the other option. And if you want to fight, you're going to die." And the one guy, what's his name?
Ragnar?
Ragnar shows up, and he's just like, I will be undying to you. Yeah. And I'm going to kill everybody.
Well, Darrow gives him the choice. Darrow gives him a choice and lets him in on the secret, essentially, and says, you get to decide, not as an Obsidian, but as an individual.
He really, toyed with that for a while. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, how do I have free will?
Well,
what do you
had
mean?
to kind of, I'd love to, dude, you could have a whole spin-off series about these Obsidians, because
the Obsidians were cool.
They're very cool, but they're low on the caste system. Pretty low. They're just treated as these brutal mercenaries, kind of, but they have so many skills. I mean, they are so capable at war, and kind
of like a Collis.
Kind of like a Collis, only very smart, actually. And their whole society has kind of grown up in the harshest conditions humanly possible, right? With no modern technology. I think they're like living in, basically the
squalor,
the Antarctic. Right? So it's just, it's forged this amazing willpower, though. So, and that's what's lacking with the Golds, right? So I could, it's just so interesting that it's the Reds and the Golds and the parts of society that, were forced to endure very difficult times and extreme hardship. Those are the person.
Yeah, they really see eye to eye there,
which kind of makes sense. But I just liked how he broke through that fourth wall and just said, "Look, man, that's all charade." And because they built a lot of mysticism and lore that the Golds were actually gods. So could you imagine being confronted by what you think is a god, and then they pull the veil down and say, "That's all."
That's just a dude.
He adapted unusually well. To the fact that he wasn't.
Well,
actually
he
a god.
has like kind of not a bright IQ. I mean, he's just like a brute.
I think
he's a smart dude, but like...
I don't know. Great. Yes. I don't think he's this crazy tactician or strategist or anything like that, but he's loyal. And speaking of loyalty, wasn't it great when Sevro and the gang came back after he gets Darrow, after the Gala gets kind of locked away in that room where Bellona House was going to the queen or whatever was going to essentially make make him join
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And they had to, they kind of locked him in, and they made him play that little game with the little needle or whatever. That would go into
Again, kind of like Dune a little bit, where where he has to
that
stick
was
his hand
almost
in the,
exactly like Dune, wasn't it?
Yeah, and she was like, "Hey, if you bend the knee to me, like you can join my house. Like screw Nero. Like you can be my apprentice." And he was like, no, I'm kind of good with that. I hate you. Yeah, you're not a good person."
That was kind of interesting. But yeah, I was going to see if I could find that in the summary. But after that, he gets locked in there, and then Mustang kind of was the one that busts him out because he was kind of unsure of her loyalty at that point to him because she was kind of pseudo-dating Cassius.
Yeah.
And so, the verdict wasn't necessarily out as to what side that she was on and where her allegiances lied. And so for her to have arranged for all the howlers to come in and break them out, I thought was pretty cool. And
then after that, that's when they escape. And then they take the ship and they go to the moon. They're trying to get to the moon. And then as they're going out, that's when, because they kidnap the queen's son or nephew.
Yeah.
They kidnap her nephew, and then that's when, as they're far away, they're using that as a bargaining chip to get out free. And Tactus takes him, kidnaps him, and jumps out the back of the ship.
Yeah.
And that's the first true betrayal that Darrow sees in this book.
Oh, man, and it's actually pretty sad,
pretty
though.
heartbreaking.
It's pretty sad at the very end when Tactus is butchered and, you know what I mean, and dead to rights.
Yeah.
And Darrow was basically going to give him another shot.
Totally.
So I thought that was interesting. But I want to talk a little bit more. So part 3 of the book. So this is after.
Is that when they go to Lauren's planet?
So let's see here. It says here, a month later, the Archgovernor of Mars rallies all those still loyal. All in attendance seem to be just waiting for Darrow to lay out the next step. Despite Pliny's warning of escalating the war, Darrow's plan of capturing Ganymede's ships and kidnapping the students of the Institute is agreed upon by the council. That was interesting. He had they really looked to him as the brain.
As the leader, for sure.
Truly, which is so interesting. He's 20 years old. However, Augustus decides that while he will attack Ganymede himself, and his children will attack the Institute, Darrow will try to rally the old Rage Knight Lorne.
And that's when
so they created those 3 things. He then goes to Lorne's planet and then finds out that, Pliny was kind of a rat this whole time, right? And that whole plan blew up in his face. And when he got there, Lorne was supposed to capture him.
Well, yeah. So they're having kind of a heart to heart. Lorne's like, "Look, this is my family's planet. Like, I'm out of the game. Like, I'm not coming to help you." And then Darrow's like, "Well, you don't really have a choice." And Lauren's like, "Well, I don't know about that." And then Anatolia, or whatever her name is, shows up with a bunch of ships and kind of corners Darrow. And Darrow's like, "Ooh, I got you." And then all the howlers show up. And then it's just a nice a quick battle there.
Yeah. Man, this book is just one firework after another.
It's crazy.
It's almost like every chapter is the most curated thumbnail on a YouTube video where you just want to click it.
Yeah, right.
It's almost
it's total
too
clickbait.
much.
It's total clickbait.
It's kind of clickbaity. Yeah. But you can't help but not want to continue on with it, I think. But
it makes it a very fun, quick read where 100 pages in this book goes by like that.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's part of the problem. Is I read this book in 2 days, and then we waited a little bit too long.
And that's partly why I can't remember it. Is because I just kept wanting to I never stewed over anything. I just kept trying to get to the next thing.
You just binged on it. But yeah, it said here. So this is after I liked Lorne as a character, the Rage Knight, and it said here, despite the obvious love Arcos had for his student, the old warrior refuses to put his family in danger and rejects Darrow's plan. Lorne also confesses that Aja and the Praetorian Death Squad have been waiting for Darrow's arrival for days.
Oh, yeah.
Lorne offers him a massive sculpted griffin, Icarus, on which to flee, but Darrow does not take the offer. I thought that was interesting. So he's honest with him and trying to help him. And then Darrow forces his hand and pushing the retired... He had retired at that point. He was trying to take care of his family back into war. That was kind of twisted, actually, for Darrow to do that. But it just kind of shows Darrow's... commitment to the cause.
Yeah. Well, and if you recall, when he was going to walk to the gardens with Lorne, he's dropping bombs. Like,
yes,
on
that
the
was brilliant,
walkway.
wasn't it? Yeah, that was brilliant. It says here, also part of the Reaper's counter ambush are the small bombs he secretly... Good man. Okay, It's all coming back. Secretly placed as he first entered the garden. Darrow triggers the bombs, killing Aja and Tactus's obsidian squad, but Tactus's reflexes save the 2 golds. Aja escapes into the ocean, and Tactus is followed further into Lorne's estate. Lorne and Darrow find Tactus holding Lorne's family at Razor Point. This is what I was talking about, where Darrow is able to talk his old enemy friend turned enemy again down, promising forgiveness and a spot back at Darrow's side. However, the Rage King shows how accurate his name is and slays Tactus as soon as his family is away. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's right, because I remember Tactus had this twist of fate at the end where he gets butchered, but it was after he had promised, repledged allegiance, and it was just one of those things where the Rage King was probably justified in doing that. Tactus was a true wild card.
Yeah, I mean, he held his family at knife point.
Well, yes, and then also he was deranged. Tactus was kind of this. He was somebody who was always making some very, flippant decisions. Even back at the in the game, in the first Red Rising book. Remember, Tactus was the one that was like kind of.
That was gonna fight Darrow in his.
Well, I think he was also had raped some of the girls and was just was a true wild card, just a bad guy.
Somebody like that, you give him a second chance, but that's also the kind of person that will just backstab you time and time again. That's a very toxic relationship where you're like, God, he's just a good dude, good at heart, but he flies by the seat of his pants.
Yeah, and it's just I think Darrow kind of talked about it. You kind of needed a Tactus. He needed somebody that was completely ruthless to be on his side, almost like keep your enemies close sort of thing. Because he didn't want Tactus to turn on him.
Yeah, I'm remembering now that it was a big deal that Darrow let Aja or Aha get away. And I remember somebody escaping from there, and they were
escaped.
Oh, you know what? Whatever, it's fine.
And I think that comes back to haunt them
think
at
that's
the end of the
kind
novel.
of towards the very end.
But
that might have been one of the people that shows up at the very end.
I think she does.
Yeah.
I think she's one who... I forget who slayed Lorne, but we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to say, actually, that might have been the Jackal. Somebody slayed Lorne, which was devastating.
Right.
But it says here, this is just another example of when Mustang and Darrow go to see Tactus's body, Roke was there, and Tactus's death just adds to Roke's
just
growing
contempt with
Darrow. That's a great word. Yeah, just contempt, and just he's starting to really second guess Darrow's motivations and leadership ability and just where his heart is, and
bodies are piling up. Roke's not happy. That's not very philosophical.
Roke, and it says here, Roke tells them that when Tactus had supposedly sold the violin that Darrow had given him, he in fact felt so guilty about it that he stopped the sale from being finalized.
Yeah, he was gonna give it back.
He learned
how to play it. Yeah.
Tactus has been practicing in private to surprise Darrow with the sonata.
Yeah.
So it was just it was interesting. So there was this growing rift between Roke and Darrow that I knew was going to. I just didn't think Roke had. Granted, I don't know that he lopped off the head of Ares, but I mean, he held it defiantly.
Right. He gave it to Darrow
and gave it to him as a present.
What's in the box?
And then poisoned. He poisoned Darrow. Remember?
Yeah.
The book ends with Darrow just growing into the stupefied sort of liquid puddle.
Yeah, literally a liquid puddle.
He's just he doesn't die, but he loses consciousness. I think.
Yeah. I think they find out that he is made by Mickey, and so I'm imagining they're gonna take all of the stuff out of him.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's gonna be. Well, I think he's gonna find his way out of that.
Yeah.
But it says here. Mustang briefs the remaining loyalists on what happened. Victra's mother's forces were also involved in the coup, creating distrust around Victra. Oh, this is interesting. So, Lorne tells Darrow to be careful trusting Ragnar because he believes that Ragnar is a weapon and nothing more. He believes that given half a chance, Ragnar will betray and kill Darrow. Darrow refuses to believe that, noting the irony in Lorne's statement as Lorne himself changed from a rage-filled killing machine to a peaceful old teacher. Darrow goes and talks to Ragnar, finds it hard to penetrate the stains brainwashing. As far as the Obsidian is concerned, he is to obey gold and nothing more, but Darrow persists, knowing that Ragnar is much more than he lets on. Ragnar is confused and convinced he's being tricked. In a last-ditch effort, Darrow confesses his red origins, explaining to the large pale man that he does not have to be a slave anymore. So Darrow becomes very forthright with a handful of people. Someone turns.
Somebody turns.
So I wonder who, or the Jackal. Maybe we get in Morningstar. Wouldn't it be great if we got more of a understanding as to what the hell Jackal was doing in book 2?
Yes.
Because he starts a media empire. He's doing crazy stuff.
He's a Bond villain for sure.
He is such a threat, and he double crosses so well. Even his own father. Didn't he kill his dad at the end?
Yeah, he does.
He killed Augustus, man. What a legend.
God, I'm trying to remember who the Bond villain was in Tomorrow Never Dies. It was Elliot something, and he had the media empire and was just a bad dude. You ever seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
Sounds.
God.
What is it called?
Tomorrow Never Dies with Pierce Brosnan and
No, I don't know it.
Yeah, Elliot Carr. Elliot Carr is the media guy, and he's a Bond villain. Just good classic Bond villain.
Well, I'll splice an image of the old boy.
Oh, the old boy.
And then the Iron Rain. So this is when the book really, it's an ongoing fireworks show,
kind of
but
like
this
the
is
final climax.
This is
battle
the
scene.
finale.
Yeah.
The whole book is this continuous climax, kind of edging the whole time.
It's just a long sneeze.
It's just you never stop.
For 400 pages.
It's just a long sneeze. Yeah, that's pretty funny. But it says here, as the Iron Rain begins, war quickly becomes a lot less romantic. Before even reaching the ground, thousands die. The bulk of forces attack the walls of Agia, but the Reaper leads a few dozen, including the Howlers, through a secret path through the river the Sons of Ares secured the night before. Emerging on the other side of the wall, though, they're ambushed. An EMP is detonated, rendering their suits completely useless. The group falls from the sky, some on the shore. Remember that? And so
and there was a little girl holding a balloon.
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh, that's sweet.
What's going on?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then Sevro almost dies in that one.
Yeah.
But Darrow and Ragnar, he saves Ragnar too, and that really
one of my favorite parts of the Ragnar is when he gives Ragnar a razor.
Yeah.
And Mustang is like,
or it was Thistle, I think her name is. Or
yeah,
whatever.
I forget
One
who
of
it
the
was,
friends.
but she was like, "I will kill you. You are not allowed to hold that thing."
Yeah,
and Darrow's like, "I'll kill you."
Yeah, and Darrow sticks up for Ragnar.
Ragnar's gonna wield this razor, and it's gonna be sick.
But also Ragnar, after this situation, he trusted Darrow, and then almost
He's
died.
come around to the willpower of okay, I'm cool being my own person.
Right, and that was actually really great. That was great for his own development, just sort of in his own constitution and decision making. Despite the fact that Darrow is the king among kings, and has taken Ragnar under his wing, and frankly bestowed in him so much trust and with so much knowledge. He then kind of questions Darrow a little bit after that, and in sort of a playful way, or not a playful way, but in sort of a just gut checking him way, especially with the Mustang stuff at the end when he was almost going to kill Mustang, and he's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Remember the wall? You f***ed me there, big boy."
Yeah,
big cat. And then he's like, "You have 10 breaths." I think he said that to her. You have 10 more breaths.
Yeah.
If I'm ever in a situation where I
10 breaths.
where I have somebody at gunpoint, I'm going to tell him that. You have 10 more.
How fast your heart beating? You got 10 more.
You have 10 more heartbeats. And then they stab me or something.
Yeah, right. Sweep the leg.
Turns out I'm not that guy.
Yeah. You're just an old, grumpy detective that's bad on his luck.
I'm just downtrodden. So that was pretty good. Oh, and I'm just going to fast forward through some of that because we
did talk about, so then Darrow, he finds the queen, or empress, whatever her name is, running out to a ship, and he jumps and gets on the ship with them, and they're about to kill him, and that's when you first find out that Fitchner is Ares.
That was huge.
Because Fitchner saves him and kills everybody on the ship.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest cliffhangers.
That was a huge pivot in the storyline. I felt like I maybe should have saw that one coming, but I was sort of at the mercy of such a fast pace.
Yeah.
You're holding on for dear life in these novels, so it doesn't really give you don't have the time to catch your breath to think about what's going to happen.
And then shortly after that, I think that's when you find out that Sevro was the other Red that was born.
Well, that actually happened earlier on in the novel, I think. I might have jumped over that, but...
Well, no,
because he tells Sevro.
Darrow tells Sevro, but
yeah,
Sevro
right.
doesn't tell Darrow that he's a Red. Once Fitchner,
he's half Red. Sevro's half and half.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually exactly where we are in the story, and it says, later Darrow and Sevro meet with the son of Ares at a secret warehouse location. The Telemanuses are there too. Fitchner tells of how he became Ares after Sevro's mom, a Red, was killed after giving birth to Sevro. She was completely wiped from all the records. So that sort of explains that sort of sarcastic demeanor that they have, and the sort of deadpan eyes, and just pure cynicism.
Just a howler.
Well, they're really cynical too. Both of them are.
Oh yeah.
And I think part of that just comes from they see through the system, right? And he's been plotting this for decades. Yeah. Which is
what a powerful scene
cool.
when Darrow and Sevro have that conversation and they just ball in each other's arms. They're
Dude,
just
Sevro is the best.
Just 8 foot large killing machines just bawling their little eyes out.
Well, I guess that's why Sevro's a little smaller, is because he's got part red in him.
He's like 6'10".
He's still huge. He's still
like
huge,
6'10".
but I just love he just loves Darrow so much.
Man, him in the first book just running around with a wolf pelt all over him.
I can't unsee that.
Like,
I can't
awesome.
unsee it. But yeah, I also just like how unique he is and how
great
able he is to be himself.
Yeah, Sevro, I would say, is definitely my favorite character.
Especially with Golds, they're so political and their appearance really matters. Like all of these things, they have to be divine essentially. Yeah. And then you have Sevro that I imagine he's just sort of speckled with.
Sevro's the kind of guy at the
acne.
Gala that would just rip a fart and be like, he's like, what?
Blame it on
gold.
somebody.
I'm gold. Like, what
blame
do you
it
want?
on the arch governor.
yeah. Bottle that, baby.
Says here, Ares' next plan is to have the Arch-Governor adopt Darrow as his heir and rise from there, all the way to eventually becoming sovereign. Darrow agrees, but wants to be in constant communication with Ares from here on out. Ares agrees. Darrow also says he wants to see his family first, his family in Lykos, before they go any further, and Darrow wants to take Mustang with him. Fitchner only agrees after Sevro says he'll kill her if she tries anything. Yeah. I will...
Yeah, so we talk about he takes Mustang, he goes to his childhood home, he sees his mom, she's super happy, and Mustang shows her the...
How great was it for him to see his mom, though?
Yeah, it was great.
That was a good scene. I liked that. I think a lot of emotion was said without it being said. I mean, Lykos must have been such a haggard and just horrible place.
Just a
atmosphere.
dusty mining town.
It really, it just sucks the life out of you. You know what I mean? And so I think she was so excited. She was a little bit confused to see Darrow because she had thought that he was dead. She kind of reacted a little bit underwhelmed for the fact that he had been gone for years at this point. She thought that she had saw him hang. Yeah. You know what I mean?
She's like, my boy?
And she's like, he looks gold, so she's just confused, but she handled that situation well, and then she's like, should I make us some tea? Yeah. You want some cookies? Yeah. Belly hungry?
Belly hungry. You want some tea and crumpets?
But not to make light of that situation, because I think that most of her family at that point had died. Yeah. Like his uncle had died, had passed, and she's just catching him up.
Brother was gone.
She's just catching him up on all the depravity. And it does sort of reinvigorate his cause. Yeah. You know what I mean? Darrow's cause, I think, just seeing that happen and being able to talk to his mom. I thought that was a good scene.
And then Mustang flees, and they have no idea where she is. I mean, after she holds him at gunpoint, she flees, and they don't know where she is.
For a few seconds, but Darrow was going back to the ship, and then he went into this... He was walking down the mine shaft or whatever to go... I think he was just kind of reminiscing, because I think he even went back to see the planetarium where...
Yeah, where...
He and...
whatever her name is.
His little lady had bed down. They bed down like little squirrels.
The base of a tree.
And but anyway, so he was kind of reminiscing, and then Mustang confronts him in a dark cave, saying she figured she was being tracked naturally. Yeah, because she knew she was being. She's smart.
Right. Yeah.
I do like that about her, that she supposedly is much smarter than even Darrow or really anybody else.
She touches the stove and it's like, that's too hot, but I think if I wore gloves, I could touch it again. And then she keeps going back until she's like, well, if I just use tongs, like I can touch whatever I want.
I do like that I think that she is, she understands Darrow and his heart. I think that she is idealistic, though, about the caste system and grew up in such a part of society that was so pampered that she can only understand the theory of things that Darrow understands to his very DNA. And so there will always be this sort of disconnect, even though they've seen each other's souls kind of, and there was a melding there, and I think an underlying love. And even though she can understand his cause, I don't know that she'll be able to participate to the level.
She can never relate or she can
she's not
empathize.
I don't think she'll lean in as much as Sevro,
empathize.
for example. Like Sevro will go down in a blaze.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure about Mustang yet. I don't know that she's going to do it as profoundly or as dramatically as Sevro will. I think she'll find her ways to support Darrow's cause, but I mean, that was very telling for her to like hold him at gunpoint like that after everything they've been through.
Yeah.
That was a crazy scene, and now we don't really know what's going to happen with Mustang after that. She leaves him and is gone from the book.
Yeah, that was my
That's the last thing we saw.
Is that, she's still MIA.
Yeah.
At the end of the book, she's MIA. Nobody knows where she is.
Yeah. And I do like that Ragnar was
because that's whose head I thought was in the box.
Oh, you did?
I thought it was Mustang's head.
No. Fitchner's
head. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
when I was reading it, I thought it was Mustang's.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you have to reread it or something, or you thought?
No, when it was happening and they put the box out, and I'm like,
you knew a head was going to be in there?
Well, have you ever seen the?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? I just saw that scene playing in my head, and
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that's definitely an ode to that movie. But it says here, so Mustang leaves Darrow in the mine, and Darrow tells Sevro to let her go. Mm-hmm. So he does continue to showcase this compassion that I think you, in the ideal world that he's fighting for, you need to have, right? You can't control people with an iron thumb. Right. You have to give people free will and freedom to make decisions. If you're ever going to have true trust, he has to let her go.
Right, for sure.
And then the people that come back to him are the people that he can start a new world order with. Mm-hmm. And but it says here at Darrow,
one, everybody's already against him. So what's he have to lose? I mean, maybe Mustang, since she knows that he's a red. That's a bold move.
Is a big underground movement. I think there's, we only see the top of the iceberg, but underneath that movement, I think is a groundswell of people and that have been undercover. I mean, think about all the Darrows that might still be out there. I mean, so he's actually quite supported.
Bombs all the time. They just keep bombing places.
Well, because of Harmony's directive. Yeah. But that does lead to a good point. Now that Fitchner is gone, who is going to rise up? Is Darrow going to be able to... It seems like he will. I mean, he's the one that seems to have these brilliant concoctions and strategies, right? And these war tacticians.
Well, if you think about it, if we are predicting that Darrow is... gets all of his gold technology ripped out of him, and maybe he just assumes Ares, but he's got all of these golds that appreciate him. Maybe he can lead golds while being a red.
Maybe, but I just don't see, I think the world will have to burn before that happens again. Sure. I think Harmony probably is right. I hate to say that. I think that Darrow is
sometimes
in his heart. I don't think he wants to be that ruthless. Mm-hmm. I think he has shown ruthlessness, but I don't think he is ruthless.
Sure.
Right? And so I just don't see a world where even if...
He's been justified, not
even
ruthless.
If he were to come out as a red, he's going to be constantly under threat.
Mm-hmm.
He'll always have somebody after his head.
Yeah.
He'll never be in peace after that. So I don't know if that would be there has to be some sort of epic war, I would think, and then the ending was a crazy crescendo, man.
Yeah. So they were going to pretty much just give Darrow a crown, and it was
because
of
the Iron Rain, and they'd won. And it said here, Nero tells Darrow he will adopt him and make him heir to House Augustus. Oh, yeah, because he wanted Darrow to marry Mustang.
Right.
And then supposedly the Jackal had sort of seceded and given the throne, basically, even though the heir should have been Jackal's.
Right.
And I think Nero even says it was the Jackal's idea.
Yeah, right.
And but the mood quickly turns sour as Roke is presenting Darrow with his wreath that injects him with some sort of paralyzing agent. Darrow watches as Lorne is murdered, and Antonia kills her mother and shoots her half-sister Victra in the back. The Jackal kills his father, but only after telling him of how he was responsible for both Leto and Claudius's death, his older brothers.
No.
The Jackal also reveals to Darrow how he actually killed Quinn and was only pretending to save her life. Cassius is there and accuses Darrow of murdering the Bellona children, but Darrow has no idea what he's talking about. Roke presents Darrow with the head of Fitchner, the head of Ares. There's a sliver of hope, however, as Mustang wasn't at the Triumph and the Telemanises were in orbit, and Sevro, the Howlers, and Ragnar were not found. Victra drags herself over to Darrow before the book ends.
God.
That's crazy.
Crazy red wedding scene. If you've ever seen Game of Thrones or read Game of Thrones, red wedding,
like
I mean, it's total red wedding.
A nice knife over. Red wedding.
Red wedding.
No, I've not seen it, and at this
crazy.
point, I just feel like you've made so many comments about it.
Yeah,
I need to watch it. Or
specifically the red wedding scene. You could watch it on YouTube and it carries zero weight because you have to put in the 22 hours of TV before the red wedding actually really pays off. But yeah, it's great show.
But anyways, I think something I'm reading here that I don't really remember was Cassius accuses Darrow of murdering the Bellona children, but Darrow has no idea what he's talking about. What children? Bellona children. Oh,
that would be like the dickheads, Cassius's brother who jumped him. So maybe they're dead. And we don't.
I just don't
really
remember
know
that part. I don't remember that part too much, and I actually don't remember
the Quinn.
Yeah, the Jackal reveals to Darrow how he actually killed Quinn.
When they rescued the Jackal, I can't remember where they rescued him from. Quinn got injured, and Roke comes down and is like, "Oh my God, Quinn's about to die," and then the Jackal's like, "Oh no, I can try to save her." And so I'm assuming that he just killed her.
What a slippery bastard!
Salamander.
I completely forgot about that. You know what? He does remind me of the salamander from Monsters Inc. He's like that, isn't he? Where you can kind of blend into the background too, where you don't know what he's doing. He is a lot like that. But
God, what's that guy's name? Richard or
I think his name is
something Randall. Yeah, Randall.
Randall Jackal.
Randall Salamander. What a loser.
Yeah, dude. So you know what? I actually think that we got through this. I think that was a good. Instead of a review, it ended up being a refresher.
Yeah.
But I will say this: if I were to, I think I actually captured the essence of what I felt about this. I mean,
it's 4 main scenes with a couple of intermissions.
Yeah, it's 4 main scenes. Yeah, but also it's just truly drinking from a fire hose, and albeit it's Sprite coming out of that thing, and it tastes good, but it's just a lot. You know what I mean? And I think that it's because the pace is so fast, you're holding on, and you're not really able to dissect the books in the way that I think you and I like to, where I feel inspired to take notes or feel inspired to annotate. You can't really annotate a book like this.
There's just no reading between the lines. There's
no plot predicting. Really, yeah, there's nothing you can really do. And what I'm, and that's okay. There's going to be a place for books like that too. But I will say, I do think we should try to rate it.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
I'm a little jaded on just the ram bam, thank you ma'am, action scenes, John Wick. But when I was reading it, I loved it. So I'm gonna come in at a 8.4.
Wow. So you think the first book was better?
There was just
has
way
the novelty
more.
worn off?
Well, I don't.
because it's a
I think
similar
the novelty's worn off because I've
approach.
read 3 books that were far more like, thought provoking and in depth. So it's hard
You mean
for me to
since you've read this
since
one?
I've read that one. Since I've read that one. But
and you and I have talked about this. I think you should let other books that you've read influence how you rate
for
current
sure.
ones. So I don't think that's a bad thing. You can't put everything into a vacuum,
No,
right? You
no,
have to rate things based off of your
But
worldview.
if I was to give this rating the second I closed the book, I'd probably be like a 8.8.
But you still felt, because here's my thing. I've watched some reviews where people, and I'm pretty sure if you pulled up Goodreads, this book is rated higher than the first one. But
I liked, okay, let me finish. What I liked about the first one was he's becoming a gold, and the Mickey scene is amazing, and the emotion when he's got to kill somebody at the first night of the institution, and the politics of, when they're out in the institute. Like, I just liked all of that more than just him going on a rampage. You know what I mean?
You're just sort of bludgeoned with the plot twists in this book, whereas in the first one, I think it was a little bit more subtle.
Right.
Also, I'm a sucker for that sort of you're in school type of thing.
So am I.
It's a Hunger Games type scenario.
Totally.
I just absolutely love that trope. It's a fantastic trope. And you're kind of also proving yourself, and then there's this greater, people looking down on you from above type of thing. And then he broke the fourth wall and then goes and attacks them.
Yeah. That
was just awesome.
Well, and if you think about the opening scene in this book where he's in a simulation where they're having that Starfleet battle.
Yeah.
Like, I could have used a few more chapters of them like in class and like having crazy like.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of.
There's that scene and then they escape.
There's not a lot of FaceTime with the Institute.
I don't need this to be Harry Potter or the Hunger Games by any means.
Harry Potter.
But I was digging the Institute.
Yeah, I think I liked the first one because the introduction of Sevro, just how the different inside of the game, there was all these different tribes getting created. Yeah. It had that Lord of the Flies type of feel to it too. So I just really enjoyed that world better, I think. Whereas this one, it was just. It was so much more high octane.
8.4.
So I'm going to give it... Well, and I even felt that as I was reading it. I was really trying to be considerate of... Because I gave it the first book a pretty high rating. And to be honest, I wanted to give this one an equally high rating. But I couldn't do it. I actually feel like I'm more around like an 8 for this one.
Yeah.
But, I liked it. I think in hindsight, I think we even ranked like... some of the Mistborns in the 7s, man.
Yeah,
so
right.
Comparatively, I think what we're realizing about each other's
is how I rate a
taste
book. Yeah.
is we do appreciate something a bit more high octane, a bit more page turning.
I would agree.
So I do like that. I just wish maybe you can't have the best of both worlds. You can't have Sanderson level world building with page turning Pierce Brown. There is no. Well, there probably is, and I'm sure our viewers will tell us.
Somebody please tell me what that is, because I will read it today.
I don't know. Yeah, I would love to figure that out.
I actually think I rated Mistborn high, and I think I rated Well of Ascension lower, and then I was back up on Hero of Ages. So I'm sensing a trend in book 2 that I'm cooling off.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. But, I think from the Goodreads, they steadily rise. And, we should tell the audience that I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking we might pause after Morningstar and shift to another series.
Yeah.
Just because, I think we just want to get something a little bit more in depth where we can sit down and predict plot. And I think that's just something we absolutely
Wheel
adore.
of Time, maybe.
Do you think so?
That's an undertaking, but...
Yeah, that's huge.
I really want to read The Blade itself by Abercrombie. It's just barking at me right here.
It is. Yeah, I think... I'm very open-minded. Although, hey, show the camera. Do you have Dungeon Crawler Carl down here?
Oh, it's upstairs.
What a gorgeous hardcover. The
so
hardcover came out like last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finally.
I'd maybe do a one-off, but like
that. Did you read the back cover of that thing even? Like the reviews that it had? It's crazy.
I don't know if I could go Hunger Games
it's
to
silly.
Hunger Games.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
Silly.
I'm very interested.
Wacky.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I think that's going to be a great book.
Yeah. I agree.
But that'll be fun. And well, anyways, man, I thought that this was a good read. I'm excited to read Morningstar, and
so you were an 8.0.
I'm going to give it a perfect 8. And yeah, audience, sorry we took a little bit of a break, but
the goblins are back, baby.
Yeah, the goblins are back, and we're back physically in the same spot. I think what we realized is doing it virtual is just it lacks the magic, right? And we are, frankly, I think we've been touted as the bad boys of YouTube.
They call us
fantasy and sci-fi. And so we just can't uphold that image. We
wouldn't have started a fantasy podcast if we didn't want the magic.
We want I got the magic in me. That's what we want.
I just want a cauldron of words to read.
You'll never. That was good. Well, hey, plot goblins. Yeah, we've got more coming. We're gonna do Morningstar. We're gonna get book 1 and 2 of Red Rising's trilogy up here shortly, and then frankly we're going to be back on the saddle. And yeah, we don't know what the book will be after Morningstar yet, but we're just going to kind of feel inspired.
So many good
and we're going to be in person. I bought a new house recently, and been moving in slowly, and we might over the next couple months even have a new podcast set up. So this one's fantastic, but we may have we might use my house.
More room to get my toes in there.
Just so when Wes he's an animated boy. So we could do aerobics, you could do yoga, you could do we could play disc golf.
I might do the whole thing doing a handstand.
No, you wouldn't.
Wow, wouldn't that be sweet?
That would be sweet. I tell you what, if we ever got how many subscribers would we have for you to try to do a whole podcast upside down?
Well, there'd be a lot of editing because I could probably do it for 30 seconds at a time. So I don't know, whatever that is, 2 hours. Do we need 2 hours?
2 hours,
or like to 10 hours
to film it? You mean?
Yeah.
Well, how many likes would we need to have or subscribers for you to even consider doing?
When we get to 1,000 subscribers, I will gladly do a podcast as long as I possibly can upside down.
You know what I'd like to do if we had 1,000 subscribers? Honestly, I'd like to do a live stream.
Oh, I would totally do that.
I think that would be really fun because I do think we have some people in this community that love reading the books that we love reading, and they have great interpretations and things to say.
Yeah.
How fun would that be?
I'd love to do a live stream.
Love to do a live stream.
Tell your friends about it. I want to go upside down.
I also feel like that would breathe a lot more.
Live. I'll do it live. I'll go upside down live.
So if you want to see Wesley tipped on his head, or if you
tell your friends, hit the like button, subscribe.
All right, everybody. Well, we're going to sign off here. I hope you're having a great fall, plot goblins, and just sort of allowing summer to transition.
Yeah.
And just taking...
We're getting into book weather, so...
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Fill your library, because we sure are.
Okay.
See ya, buddy.
See ya.